have to confess I have a weakness for Italian foods, but I'm also can tend to be a little bit lazy, especially on a weeknight when I don't have a lot of time and I don't have a lot of ingredients in the house. So today on Jay's World Kitchen, I'm going to show you a really simple beef and tomato sauce that is very similar to a bolognese, but it really isn't. And it's a bit of a cheat, and it's a little bit different from what you'll find in a typical Italian cookbook. And so it is also straightforward, cheap and easy. I'm going to start off with just a little bit of olive oil in a pan, nice deep saucepan. And into that, I'm going to add about 1/2 of a medium onion that's been nicely diced up. And you really just want to let those sweat a little bit, so you may want to add just a touch of salt onto that. Just for a few minutes. We're not even going to wait for them to get translucent or anything like that. Now, our onions have been cooking for about a minute, and we're just going to add in about 3 cloves of garlic. And if you know me, you know that I generally add a little bit more, so you can too. And again, we don't need that to brown or anything like that. We just want them to saute for about a minute. Now again, after a minute, you can see they've just sort of started to release some nice juices in there. And into that, we're now going to add about 1/2 cup of a nice red wine. And I'm using a homemade Merlot here, but of course you can use any red wine that you like, but you just want about 1/2 cup. And now we're just going to leave that for just a few moments. And what you're going to notice is that wine is going to start being absorbed by the onion and the garlic. They're going to change their color quite a lot, but also you're going to have very little liquid left. So when you see very little liquid, that's when we move on to the next step, which is approximately 1 pound of ground beef. We're just going to break that up in there and give it a pinch of salt. Now what we want to do is we want to actually brown this, and it doesn't have to be completely browned all the way through, but pretty much all the way through. You just want to make sure there's no big pieces of pink meat in there. And now that that is almost browned, we're going to add in another 1/2 cup of that red wine. Now we're going to let that cook down just a little bit. We don't want to lose all of our liquid in there, but we do want it to cook down a little bit. And if you're enjoying this video, please go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and remember to turn on notifications so that you know when my next video drops. And now I'm going to add in about 1 tablespoon of my steak spice, and I'll leave this recipe link at the end of this video. This is one of my favorite spices to use, but I really do like it because it's got slightly peppery, slightly salty, but also a very sort of bold flavor to it. So we're just going to add in 1 tablespoon of that and a tablespoon of dried oregano. Stir those in quickly. Now, if you're Italian or you have Italians in your family, tell them to avert their eyes, because I'm going to be adding in a 1/4 cup of regular ketchup. And now we're going to actually leave that on a relatively high heat, because what we want is we want as much of this liquid to actually sort of evaporate as possible or get absorbed into the meat. And you want to keep a close eye on it, because you don't want it to burn, because it can quite easily. You just want to make sure that we are getting rid of that liquid. Now, while we're waiting for it to do that, I'd like to give a quick shout out to all of my supporters on Patreon. Without their financial support, this channel would absolutely not be possible. And if you'd like to find out how you can help support this channel financially on Patreon, please click on that Patreon link down below in the comments section. where you can find out that you can support for as little as $5 a month, and every penny is really appreciated. Now, as you can see, we've pretty much got rid of the majority of that liquid. There is a little bit left in there, but it's taking about 2 or 3 seconds for that liquid to sort of fill up a spoon line on the bottom of the pan. And that's when you know that it's ready for 1 can of diced tomatoes that I've pureed. And I'm using my diced tomatoes recipe, and I'll leave that link at the end of this video as well. And all I did was I simply put this into a food processor and blend it up really, really fine. So it's quite nice and smooth. Now we're going to taste a little bit of this sauce and just see where we are from a salt point of view. So definitely needs a little bit more salt. So I'm adding in probably about 1/3 to 1/2 of a teaspoon there. Give that a good stir. And we're also going to add in some freshly ground black pepper and give that a taste. I think that's going to be absolutely perfect. And now we're going to let that simmer for 5 to 10 minutes until we're ready to serve while we're cooking a pasta. Now, one of the cool things about this recipe is that it's quite versatile. So you can actually start this off with a mirepoix if you prefer. You can add in carrots, you can add in celery. The other things that you can add in are things like fresh bell peppers, nicely diced in there right in the beginning. You could also add in some fresh basil, which will give us a nice pop as well. But this is really basic, it's really quick and easy and super tasty. Now, I apologize if this dish upsets your Italian sensibilities, but I have to tell you, it smells really good. And I'm quite hungry, so I'm kind of looking forward to giving this a taste. What I really like about this is that there's definitely a tomato taste to that, of course. You can taste that onion and that garlic in there, but there's this very slight hint of a deep, beefy, spicy almost undertone that's not spicy. It just has the perfect amount of boost and depth to it. That really is such a lovely flavor. You have to try this recipe, and if you do, I'd love to hear what you added to it to make it uniquely yours as well in the comment section down below. I love to read your comments, and I really do appreciate your feedback. If you'd like to see some more of my content, you can follow me on all of my social media, and those links are below in the comment section as well. Now, if you'd like to make the steak spice that I used in this recipe, you can click on this link right here. Or if you'd like to make my diced tomatoes, you can find that recipe right here. Thank you so very much for watching. And until next time, happy eating.